of optics that you can call truly fast. This is one of them. A speed demon. This is the Voigtlander 35mm f/0.9, exclusive to the Fuji X-mount. It's not a cheap optic by any stretch, and it is positioned as the premium fast glass for the Fuji X-mount. You can think of this as the Noctilux for the Fuji system. This optic is equivalent to a 56mm f1.4 on full frame, so it won't give you quite as shallow depth of field as the Leica Noctilux, but it is the shallowest 50mm equivalent that you can get on the system. This is the first of the Voigtlander X-mount optics that I've used before, and I have to say, I love it. Having a manual focus lens that communicates with the body is such a cool experience. The lens will transmit the current aperture as well as the focus distance to the camera. It also reports the lens info on the EXIF data of your files. This optic is as close to a native Noctilux for the Fuji system as we can get. A premium manual focus, large aperture lens that fits the system perfectly. It has the hallmark Voigtlander look to the design and fits particularly well on my X Pro 3. It's about the same size as the XF 16mm 1.4. Not bad, but not great either. With focus peaking, there really isn't much of an issue nailing focus despite the smaller EVF on the X Pro 3. Also, due to the fact that the lens is coupled electronically to the camera, you can actually zone focus using the OVF as it shows you what distance you're currently focused to, as well as moving the bright lines to compensate for parallax. This, in combination with the small pop-up EVF inside of the OVF, led me to be able to actually manual focus this optic using the OVF, giving me a much more rangefinder style experience. The image quality of this lens is fantastic. Very sharp wide open, which is where you'll be using this optic 99% of the time. Despite its ultra-fast aperture, the optic gives a surprisingly clean and refined image. However, as with any ultra-fast optic of modest size, you're going to get aberrations. Chromatic aberration and coma are present in the images, but it's nothing that isn't fixable in post, or bent to your own will as part of an aesthetic. The images are sharp and maintain excellent contrast, which contributes to its modern, clean rendering. The bokeh is rather interesting as well. At mid to close ranges, the bokeh is creamy and soft in the center of the image, with the corners being more oval-shaped in a pleasing manner. As you focus at mid to far ranges, the distortion in the bokeh near the edges gets more pronounced, but not as distracting as some ultra-fast optics. There's also a bit of chromatic aberration in the bokeh as well, but it's only really apparent when looking at 100% crops. A nice optic is only part of getting images to look amazing. Color is extremely important. If you want your images to have feeling, head over to gxace.com and pick up my Lightroom preset packs. The price was the biggest hurdle of the Voigtlander 35mm f0.9. It was priced at $1,500 and was significantly more expensive than the other fast 35mm optics for the X-mount in the 20s, most of which were priced at around $500. However, what you got with the Voigtlander was communication with X-mount bodies for focusing, aperture, and metadata, which honestly puts this optic ahead of its competition alone. Since my first mirrorless camera, I've been using Voigtlander optics. I have the 21mm f4 color scope R and the knockdown 35mm 1.4 M-mount optics. And this one for Fuji is of a quality that I've come to expect. Let my images be your guide. You'll know if this is the one for you.
GX 需要您的支持，才能继续制作这些视频。当前的世界状况使人类和机器的生活变得艰难。
Como todos saben, después de la crisis mundial de los chips a principios de los años 20, la humanidad enfrentó algunos de los desafíos más difíciles hasta el momento.
Durch die Unterstützung über Patreon wird GX weiterhin in der Lage sein, Konzernen zu trotzen und mehr Zeit für die Videos aufzubringen, die ihr alle so liebt.
Los patrons tendrán acceso a contenido exclusivo detrás de las cámaras, grabaciones en vivo,
un servidor ultimo
Discord.
每集的演示表中将有您的名字。
Printy Rahu, agus na GX Lightroom preset packs is Danny ar fáil le high patrons. Mila Buekas.
Gracias.
谢谢大家。
Gracias a todos.
Vielen Dank für eure Aufmerksamkeit und Unterstützung. Bleibt sicher da draußen.